Well, when I think of AAHRPP, I think of education, collaboration, compliance, collegiality. So it's my pleasure and privilege to work with Michelle Feiga, Harry Frazier, Robert Hood, Kate Falakovich, Jamel Williams, Dominique Hunter, Lori Kravchik, more on Lori in a moment, Danielle Randolph, Mary Fields, and Nichelle Cobb. And a special shout out to Lori Kravchik, who is my partner in crime in putting together this video, and we hope you enjoy it.
I think that it was mission critical to be able to assess the effectiveness of the whole rather than the silos.
So the one word I think of when I think of AAHRPP is support.
When I think of AAHRPP, I usually think about quality.
The first thing that comes to my mind is trust. And to my mind, AAHRPP and accreditation is really key to building, or maybe it was even rebuilding, trust in the research enterprise.
You know, I'm still from the old school, and I believe that things that are infused with humanity and love and compassion even, and respect for individuals are those that really transcend, you know, sort of a nonprofit that's working to a nonprofit that's thriving and doing its job.
A research community came together to create its own set of accreditation standards.
When we think of AAHRPP, we think of a collegial group of people working in the same kind of place, keen to share their experience and learn together to improve the protections for human research participants.
Just the community of all the wonderful people that I have worked with throughout all these years, that's what comes to mind.
Partnership, really important partner in that. I don't know, it's kind of like a living LinkedIn.
Sort of alignment with national and international expectations of excellence.
And what comes to my mind is actually the people. And I think the success of the organization is in large part to their credit.
Colleagues. That is, for me, really one of the great things that AAHRPP has brought.
When I think of AAHRPP, I would have to say what comes to my mind is really this amazing network of colleagues.
Oh, I would love to begin by talking about my history and relationship with AAHRPP, which was part of the discussion in Primer boardrooms, I believe, starting in the mid-90s. We need to have a set of principles or standards. We need to consider accreditation.
I feel a great sense of gratitude to the founders of AAHRPP, the 7 organizations that came together to found AAHRPP. There were 7: Public Responsibility in Medicine and Research, the Association of American Medical Colleges, the Association of American Universities, the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, the National Health Council, the Federation of Societies for Experimental Biology, and the Consortium of Social Science Associations.
And we reached out to AAHRPP, and we had a really wonderful, wonderful relationship with them. They came over to Singapore, spent a lot of time with us. When AAHRPP visited us, our policies and procedures were 8 pages long in total.
Historically, actually going back to 2002, at that point, I had just been hired as the first full-time chair of the IRB at the University of Iowa.
So the history goes way back to getting a phone call about this organization that was going to do accreditation of HRPP programs and did not want to come to a meeting in Washington about this.
One of the key parts of the AAHRPP accreditation standards is that they are not solely IRB focused.
AAHRPP was a pioneer in helping to identify and even coin the term HRPP for us.
I think AAHRPP has really been transformative from the standpoint of changing the way organizations approach human research protections.
I think now when people think of a human research protection program, they don't just think of the IRB anymore. I think they think about the program a lot more comprehensively. And I think that we owe that all to AAHRPP.
I think it's really made us think more broadly about how the IRB may work within its organization and with researchers to really ensure human research protections.
Part of a very wide and wonderful Venn diagram where everyone is connected and everyone is synergistic and everyone coordinates and communicates, and ideally
but something voluntary, you just go into it. And even though some of your staff, you may have to pull them kicking and screaming in the beginning, but because it's voluntary, it just has a different experience. The whole experience is different.
It would be hard to argue, any organization to argue that they don't need to be aligned with national benchmarks of excellence.
Voluntary accreditation means we have to choose to do the right thing.
People are getting accredited because they want to. That's significant because it requires a commitment to the goals of the accreditation.
Voluntary always feels better.
It is such a pleasure meeting with people who are seemingly working in such different atmospheres and different cultural locations. But when you come down right to it, we are all following the same policies and procedures. We all want to protect human subjects. We all want to help our researchers do the best work they can.
When Bellberry came to the AAHRPP conference in 2018, one of the things that became really apparent to us at that point in time was the growth in internationally accredited organizations participating within AAHRPP.
Especially impressed me is that people from different country, different culture, they have the same goal, and they put a lot of effort for their commitment, and this is a very variable experience for me. I usually learn a lot from other sides.
AAHRPP serves as a global ambassador for us to realize that though we're different, we're very diverse, our backgrounds are different, we all share a common purpose, and it's nice to feel that way.
There's this kind of common thread that you feel in the idea of human subjects protection programs. And it's just, you feel this immediate connection to your colleagues, like you've known them, like they're part of the family of protections for human subjects, and you're all moving in the same direction.
Over the past 20 years, AAHRPP has become consistently, steadily more customer-centric.
I have mentioned, I remember my very first site visit experience. It was slightly terrifying, I will admit, but I think the culture of even the site visits has really shifted in such a positive direction. They feel super collegial.
There's that extra set of eyes and kind of gives that quality assurance to ensure, or quality control to ensure that that it's not prescriptive and it is as flexible as possible.
Are all of the efforts made to streamline the process I really do appreciate that. And I have to congratulate AAHRPP for being as responsive as they have been and making the changes that have been made.
The fact that AAHRPP accreditation is voluntary, which means that institutions choose to take on that effort, that self-evaluation that it involves, just raises the bar sort of for all institutions. I think it acts as a call to action for all institutions to look at how they're doing and try to do things better.
AAHRPP has definitely contributed probably more than any other organization to excellence in human resource protection. Because there are so many organizations that are accredited, you all have created a network of best practices.
I think it's great to go through the process and be AAHRPP accredited. I think that it's great if you're part of AAHRPP, but I also think that there's that AAHRPP is about a larger message, a larger mission.
It's never been clearer than it has been in 2020 that clinical trials exist in a global market. We truly are a global team. And the drug development process is, as we all know, a team sport. In that light, it is incredibly helpful to have an overarching framework that allows us to demonstrate our interoperability, if you like.
And really raises the bar for all of us, whether we're accredited or not yet accredited.
An opportunity to be empathetic, to be kind, which goes beyond the accreditation process altogether, beyond the discussion of HRPPs. It's the kind of world that we want to be a part of, and AAHRPP kind of contributes to that.
I think AAHRPP is a leader in how we think about human research protections. AAHRPP has really shown this exceptional ability to balance the accountability to those very robust standards with providing flexibility in the accreditation process.
Ultimate confidence in AAHRPP because it was a sturdy house built from the bottom up by that wonderful group of Primer board people.
The AAHRPP system works well, and I think it will getting better and better in the future.
Have really forced a reckoning around justice and equity in the research enterprise. Absolutely see AAHRPP as having a sort of huge role in some leadership in that area and setting some direction in that area.
I'm very optimistic for the next 20 years for AAHRPP. Things are changing. Research is changing. How we conduct research is changing. This is an exciting year to have the 20th anniversary of AAHRPP. We have a passionate and well-formed community of institutions and organizations that are ready to take the organization forward.
I think AAHRPP and the people who are connected with AAHRPP and part of that research community are all part of pushing that forward and keeping the opportunities available.
Has had conversations about human medical research, drug development, vaccine manufacture, really detailed discussions about our sector that really, I think, are kind of unparalleled in history. And so that really does give me an awful lot of optimism and excitement about what happens going forward.
Just looking at the history of what AAHRPP has been able to do in the last 20 years, I am extremely optimistic that they are just going to go on to new heights.
I feel just so much enthusiasm, so much excitement about the future of AAHRPP.
I would say that I'm positive about the next 20 years. I want to be sure that AAHRP gives attention to the growing divide between the people who believe in science and the people who don't.
So I'm very optimistic in all fronts for where we are. And I believe AAHRP continues to play just an absolute vital role in, helping the community come together to understand the challenges and the opportunities.
But I love this community, and I think that AAHRP has really grown and evolved with the community and is desiring to be and continue to be a very live and important part of the growth of human research protection.
The past couple years, and the past year in particular, has seen unprecedented challenges for everyone across the globe. Personally, I'm so fortunate to work with amazing colleagues in our office, as well as our dozens and dozens of site visitors, our AAHRP Council, incredibly dedicated AAHRP Board of Directors. And so I am very optimistic about the next 20 years, both for our world and for our AAHRP world.